Welcome to Per Her Perspective, a podcast of raw, relatable conversations on leadership, challenges, and solutions in running a business, often with the support of smart peers. The show inspires business owners to grow, make bold decisions, and go bigger with confidence. I'm your host, Marla Noel. Let's get started. Okay, welcome to Per Her Perspective. My name is Marla Noel, and I am interviewing Dr. Arianna Sholes-Douglas. The good Dr. Arianna is a board-certified OBGYN and integrative women's health expert specializing in perimenopause, menopause, and midlife transformation. And I wish you were around when I went through that. She is the author of The Menopause Myth, what your mother, doctor, and friends never told you about life after 38, founder of the integrative clinic Tula Wellness and Aesthetics, and host of the Stay Juicy podcast with over 26 years of clinical experience and a national reputation as a speaker and advocate. Dr. Arianna brings a holistic, data driven, and empowering voice to this evolving conversation on women's wellness and the magical, mythical midlife journey. And boy, such an important thing to women running businesses, because I know what I went through. Tell me, Dr. Arianna, how did you grow up? What was your home life like when you were 5 years old?
I'm, I guess, a fairly standard family. I'm an only child, so I guess that's the differentiator. I don't have any brothers, sisters, and my mom and dad have no brothers and sisters. So I have no aunts, no uncles, no cousins, no siblings. So I was definitely at an early age just very used to kind of being by myself and entertaining myself and just doing my own thing. And I had a very, I think, inquisitive mind. I always loved science. And I love biology. I love dissecting things. I was a kid that wanted to be the first at the dissection table with the cats and whatever animal that we were doing. Everyone else didn't want to go and went in the other direction. I went towards it. And my parents gave me a microscope one Christmas, probably, I don't know, somewhere 10-ish. And that just opened up a whole new world. I would get leaves and just bugs and things out in nature. And I would look under the microscope. It was just always very fascinating to me. And then probably the thing that put me on this trajectory of where I am now is that when I was a teenager, I had really severe menstrual cramps and to the point where I was incapacitated, vomiting, just not able to function for the most part. And my mom, I remember, took me to several different providers. I'm pretty sure one of them was a mental health person. I don't think anybody quite believed that I was as affected as I was. I probably had endometriosis. Finally, she took me to a gynecologist, and the gynecologist gave me the equivalent of some naproxen. And that literally changed my life. I was a cheerleader. I ran track. And so I mean, just for at least 2 to 3 days out of the month, I was just, like, shut down. It was like a new beginning, and so I just remember thinking, "That's what I wanna do." Like, if you can just give someone a pill and change their life, then that's what I wanna do, and that's why we're here today.
That's a great story, and I think it's interesting that I don't know how old you were when you finally got a little bit of a solution to your problem, but taking that much out of your life as you're growing up, and then, as we're gonna talk about later, takes away from your life as you get a little bit older, all of those things, that the science behind it is just now evolving, isn't it? Would you say?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've just slowly been evolving over time, but it's not lost on me that, the same kind of distress I had as a teenager going through puberty and the menstrual cycle was the same I had as infertility patient and the same I had when I started going through perimenopause. And I feel like through all of those stages, I was unprepared and I wasn't surrounded by providers, people that either understood or could help me. And I, unfortunately, I'm going to be 60 next year, and I don't feel like, things have definitely changed, especially in the area of menopause. But yeah, we still got a long way to go.
So, what prompted you to start your practice? Because that's a whole nother step.
Yeah, it wasn't. I think we kind of briefly just spoke about it. I didn't go into starting my practice probably like most business owners go into a business, right? They're going to have a plan and, they have an exit strategy. And, true stories that I had no idea what an exit strategy even meant when I started talking to people about, this idea. And this one particular friend, husband of a friend who understands this obviously a lot better than I did at the time. And he was asking me what my exit strategy was. And I thought he was insulting me and assuming that I would fail. And so that just was how ignorant I was when I started. I really starting my business was more of an escape from what I was unhappy with in corporate medicine and what I just felt like I needed to have more control over my life and my schedule. I practiced maternal fetal medicine, which is high risk OB for almost 20 years up till that point. And, it was exhausting. It was stressful. It was very gratifying. I have a lot of miracle babies and it was all great. But I think, by the time I'm hitting my mid 40s, it was like, yeah, I'm done. And I just needed to figure something else out. So I was like, well, I have credentials. I'm a gynecologist. I can at least start a clinic, like put up a shingle. But I had no vision of really what I wanted to do the long term. I certainly didn't have an exit strategy, but I just knew I needed to do something different, and it's evolved since there.
Nice. That's a great story, and it's very hard to start a business, especially when you don't know about business. You know about medicine,
So yeah,
but you don't know about business. So,
tell me
like,
about it.
what yeah, I see that a lot out there. What helped you you had a consultant that insulted you, obviously, to start. So, did you have a business book or what is it that helped you with that business mindset? How to run a business?
Common sense. I just had common sense, and honestly, had no business help until I remember meeting with one woman. She kind of helped me a little bit, just kind of understand some ideas around marketing and business. That was probably a year or so in. But I had no concept of the accounting, of the marketing, of any of it. It just literally nothing, but it just whatever made sense. And that's kind of was not terrible because everything I added to the practice, every service was really a result of, oh, these people, like, for example, I was doing mostly, hormone therapy and dealing with menopause, but then I just so happened to have a front desk person who happened to have a license in aesthetics. And so we would just do these, facials and then people would be like, oh, can you do my Botox? And I was like, well, I can learn how to do Botox. I mean, I'm a surgeon, so can't be that hard. So I learned how to do Botox, and then I learned how to do fillers. And then I learned about all the different energy devices for, fat, treating fat, in the body or developing muscle. And so it was really just more of people would have a need. And then I would be like, oh, that makes sense. Let me add that. Now, that said, I didn't understand like the importance of good financing and having access to capital and having enough just in the bank to support. I mean, when you have those periods where you're not doing the best. So yeah, I mean, honestly, I got a business advisor this year. I'm in my 13th year of business. Has been the best thing. I could have absolutely done this years ago, but I think it was just finding the right person at the right time, and it's been a godsend for me. It's really changing my whole. I have an exit strategy now. Like, I see my numbers. I did the Goldman and Sachs 10,000 small business program, which I highly recommend for anyone like myself who really wants to just get immersed. But that's probably I finished that program last year. So probably been within the last 3 years. So I was running a business for 10 years, just kind of on common sense. And then I had to really, that wasn't carrying me hard fast enough. So I had to make some other moves.
Well, congratulations on getting a business advisor and having somebody help you. Now, did you, just curious because you mentioned financing, did you find a banker that was helpful at all, or how did you figure that out? Or did you not ever get help with that part?
Yeah, no, I never got help. I still don't have a banker. I'm working on one now because I'm in the middle of purchasing a commercial building for my business. So I'm starting to have those relationships now, but I know they're important, and it is a priority on my list now to have those relationships. And my advisor is really helping me just understand like how to go about doing those things, what to ask for, what to look for. Like I just had no idea. And like I said, he's made some changes just in me refinancing something that is going to literally increase my cash flow by almost $20,000 a month. So when I tell you it's been a game changer, it's been a game changer for me.
Yeah. Good. Good. Well, I'm glad to hear that about the business advisor because that's what I do. So good. Yeah, I've had several people tell me when they get the right person to help, it's incredible. And I know running a business, I actually would almost always have two because one would know one thing and one would know another thing. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's just getting help with how do you do this. So I understand that you have a concierge program. What does that entail for people who need your services?
Yes. What I've discovered is my sweet spot. I mean, I love supporting women through the journey, but what I've seen is women in business, entrepreneurs, business owners, CEOs, we're reaching our peak around this time of perimenopause and menopause. And what's happening is that, in some areas, some aspects, we're losing some of our what we would consider our superpowers in terms of our memory, our cognition, our ability to focus in certain areas. Our sleep is disrupted. And emotionally, it's just a time of a lot of upheaval. You may be launching kids or in the sandwich, with older parents, and there's just so much coming at you. And I feel like I really have gone through the fire. I feel like I've walked through the coals, and I really feel like I can support women in that space, especially understanding how it impacts our business. And so that program is really just a year program where really we do a comprehensive look at your hormones, really even emotionally, even down to spiritual aspects of how you are evolving during this space. So it's a very unique program where it's not just, checking in and, getting some hormones and seeing me in 3 months, but we really on a monthly basis really tap into all of those aspects of life. And I help you just navigate this period with a little more grace, definitely with a lot more education, and empower you to know that you can get through it, and use my own example as kind of your, hey, girl, if I can do it, you definitely can do this.
I'm going to have to tell you, I wish again you were around when I went through this. I literally didn't know what was happening to me. And I had an amazing assistant who printed out this paper about menopause on my desk as I'm thinking, what is going on? Am I going crazy? Kind of a thing. And I was in my 40s.
Hmm.
And it was one of those, oh, oh. And I went to my doctor who said, older fellow at that, he said, I don't believe in hormones, so I don't want to give you hormones. And my wife went through this and she didn't use hormones. I got so angry with him and I said, did your wife run a business?
Right?
I'm sure she didn't. And so I just got so angry at still today. I think the solutions are limited. So, well, let me ask you this because I am talking to you right now via the internet and I'm in California. And where are you located?
Arizona.
Can I use your services?
Yeah. I have a California medical license, and the nature of the service isn't always considered medical, but yes, I see a lot of my clients that are out of state, they're mostly in California and back east. I have a lot of clients in New Jersey and Maryland, Atlanta. Those are probably my hubs for where I see the most people, but depending on where you are, I mean, with this program, ideally, I like people to come to Tucson for that first visit. We spend pretty much an entire day doing assessment, doing everything from measuring your body muscle mass with a whole body composition. We review your lab work. We even can look at things even aesthetically. Just helping you understand how your skin is changing, how your gut is changing. Like it's so many aspects. It's very hard to do that in, just a online visit where we're doing it just through a Zoom. And we can follow up with that. But that initial visit, I really think it's worth the time to come in. And it's really worth the time for you to take for yourself because this really is such an important time where you need to you need to invest in yourself in this area because it's like having a business advisor for your business. I'm like your menopause advisor. And so it can literally be life changing to have the tools and that kind of support that you just don't even know what you don't know.
So I'm going to deviate from the questions because that we agreed I was going to ask you because something strikes me about the title of your podcast, Stay Juicy. And I do know I've had some friends say that they quit having sex because it hurts. And then I find that if I'm taking the right supplements, it's much more enjoyable. So tell me a little bit about that because I maybe some fellows are listening to this podcast. I'm so sorry, but maybe whoever you're having sex with might hear about this as well. So tell me about that because it's really been, I think, too much of a mystery for those of us now that are getting older and we want to enjoy sex.
Yes, we do. Amen. The podcast is called Stay Juicy, and it's kind of a play on words. I mean, I do mean it in every sense of the word, of the phrase.
Okay.
Juicy lives, juicy
Mhm.
experiences, juicy vaginas. And what that means is that we really, this is a period in our life where we really do. We want to extract the pleasure, the juice, everything out of it. We've worked hard. It's time to enjoy that. And so the podcast focuses more on educating. It's definitely going to give you more evidence based information, but I also do more deep dives into our sexual health, our intimate health. And so intimacy during this period is definitely a topic that doesn't get discussed as much. Women are suffering in silence. And there are a lot of women that have lost their libido. They've lost any desire to connect. And some of that is just because they really just aren't interested in their partner. Sometimes it's the partner that's not exactly, stepping up to the plate the same way. And sometimes it's just that it hurts and we just aren't feeling it. And so we try to figure out what that area is. And it's not a one size fit all, right? Because sometimes women have pain with intercourse and it has more to do with what's a condition called vaginismus, where they're kind of just tight and their muscles are tight and there's pain during certain aspects of intercourse. Sometimes women have pain because of vaginal dryness. And so, depending on what's going on, and this is why an initial visit is really important to just really do that deep dive. And unfortunately, a lot of gynecologists really don't have any training in intimate wellness and can have that capacity or time to sit down and really go through with you like, okay, this is your clitoris. This is what we consider a G spot. This is why you're having pain. This is how you can have more pleasure. And so having those conversations first and foremost, and then coming up with solutions. So vaginal estrogen is huge. There are devices, even home devices that can be used. One of them, my favorite, is called the Joylux V-Fit. It's using red light therapy for the vagina, and that works really well. We sell vibrators in the office. So I even educate women on just really how to tap into their own pleasure because, for a lot of us, we just haven't been taught that. We've literally never had that conversation with another person. And so I just like to create a safe space so people can feel comfortable asking those questions. And since I'm a gynecologist, I get to ask all the questions that I wouldn't ask if I were your friend. But as your gynecologist, I can just dive right in and be like, okay, girl, tell me about this. And then we can talk about it.
That's really nice because I don't know how I'd feel talking about my doctor that I have right now. So I just That's really nice. I think that's so important. I have noticed this about women, as you get older, you don't feel less sexy. You want to feel like a woman,
Yeah.
and being sexy is part of it. And skincare and your eye, all that.
Yeah, it's definitely the whole person. So we're looking at ourselves differently. Our hair is changing, our skin is changing, our body composition. A lot of women don't feel sexy just because of their body and they're not loving that part. So the goal is also to just figure out where those areas that are keeping you from really truly tapping in and being able to express your sexuality, really being able to tap into pleasure because at the end of the day, we work super hard. And I really come to the conclusion that, but we're actually here to experience pleasure. And we haven't been given permission or even the instructions on how to do that. And so that's what it's all about.
I love it. Okay, so what do you think was the most challenging experience in starting and running your business? What's been the hardest thing for you?
I think, um, just really recognizing that you really need a plan, a roadmap. Like it's not just like throw it on the wall and kind of see what sticks.
Yeah.
I definitely have some ADHD kind of tendencies. And so I've been impulsive about purchasing things and hiring people.
That's like most entrepreneurs. I'm
Yeah.
just going to tell you.
Well, at some point, it's okay when you're in school and maybe doing other things, but when you're running a business, like this can cost you a lot of money. So I think the hardest thing is just learning how to control that impulsivity and just having a plan and now having someone to help me with that. It's like, I know intuitively, like I need to have a plan and this needs to work, but I just don't have the capacity to create that. And so now I don't have to like, it's just been great to take that ownership of that. It's like, I still have to do that work, but I have somebody who understands it and is like, okay, based on what you're telling me, this is the roadmap and then I'm like, okay, let's go in. And that's made it so much easier.
They can help you through that process. And we call it working on the business versus working in the business. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's good. So, what do you wish you'd done sooner?
Oh, for sure, gotten some help. I should have gotten some help and just, yeah. I mean, unfortunately, I took a lot of my personal money and all the things they say you're not supposed to do, but and I'm like, okay, it's going to catch up, but it just doesn't catch up. And yeah. But I also believe that everything comes with a time and a season. And I mean, I've learned so many lessons now that I can really help people because I have made just about every mistake. I'm sure there's a couple I haven't, thank God. But yeah, I wish I had gotten help sooner. But at the end of the day, I'm good. Like I just accept all parts of this journey. I bought a machine. Like I right now, I'm about $400,000 in debt with just equipment loans. And I really didn't understand the financing of this. And again, I made a very impulsive buy. And when I go back and look at the amount of interest that I was paying, it's embarrassing. Like I can't even repeat it on live. So, yeah, I'm going to be paying for that for a minute. I have a strategy. It's all working itself out. But in retrospect, that was no question one of the worst business decisions I ever made.
Yeah. And that's one of those things where, I want people when they're listening to this podcast to think about the mistakes that we've made and do what they can to avoid them. So, I've read business books, so many business books in my life, and I'd say that's how I've avoided many mistakes, but also made a lot of mistakes myself. So I completely understand because you just don't realize the total impact until you've done it. And then it's like, it's one of those, oh, and I have to keep paying for it. Um, so, um, so what's your favorite service to offer people? What's it you enjoy the most?
First one is just the hormone therapy. When a woman comes back and she's like, oh my God, like you literally have changed my life. I've had their husbands come back, write me letters, crying, like you gave me my wife back. Like it's literally very gratifying. I love that. I can't get enough of it. But I also love the intimate wellness aspect. We do these treatments and women who really have lost touch with their sexuality, with pleasure. I've just really been able to, I would say, like open up a door, light a spark, and just to see a woman come alive in that area is just so exciting because when you know when she's like, yeah, you could, I can't even explain it. It's very similar to hormone therapy, but there's something about a woman really regaining that confidence around intimacy that is just, that's where our power is. And so when I feel like I've helped a woman access that, it's like, yeah, another, my motto is saving the world one vagina at a time. So
That's
that's
good.
it.
It's funny, I had a friend, long time ago after I am sure a couple of glasses of wine admit that she's never had an orgasm before.
Yeah, no.
And
Yeah.
I just wonder how many women out there could say the same thing, and I bet there's quite a few, which is so sad.
Sometimes we need help in that area because it's like, honestly, yeah, some of it may obviously seem natural and obvious, but it just know that there is support there, and it doesn't mean that that you're necessarily abnormal or anything's wrong with you. Sometimes it just means you need to understand your body better. And what a better way than talking to a gynecologist, somebody who understands. Like, we don't have to go to porn or, whatever, Google it, but to have someone really explain things to you in a way and help just give you permission. And of course, either finding that intimacy with yourself, which I think is super important, but also, the having a partner that you can have on this journey is really helpful.
So, where do you wanna go next with your business? What does your future I'm looking into the crystal ball. What does your future look like?
Yeah, I think I want to just keep expanding. I've kind of started to move out of my business more, and that's really helped me work on the business. So I would say, to the extent that you can get out of the business, I wouldn't say I would have done that sooner, but um, that has for sure been the catalyst for me being able to even be able to think ahead. I want to expand in our services. So I have one nurse practitioner. I'm going to hire another one in probably Q1 of next year. And then we're really expanding into the weight loss space because I'm really seeing how these GLPs are working really great for these menopausal women, and how there's lots of data now looking at estrogen and the GLPs and the influence of estrogen on our metabolism. So I really want to get more into that space, in the longevity space. And then for me personally, I'm doing more speaking. I just spoke at AARP, and I just spoke for Google. I'm working on a project with Kimberly Clark because they're looking into, they make poise and depends, and they're looking to get into the perimenopause space. So I want to do more consulting. I just want to take my knowledge and just parlay that into ways just to feed my creativity, and to just see how I can, take this knowledge and use it on a bigger scale, in a different scale, as opposed to the one-on-one with patients.
So, speaking of that, so when you are speaking, and I hope that you'll be a speaker for WPO Women's Presidents Organization. We're going to talk about that in a minute. So, what one question, or are there a couple of questions that you're asked about more frequently when you're speaking?
When I'm speaking, I think the topic that I talk about the most, people have the most questions around, is cognition, brain health, and just understanding, this kind of intersection of potential ADHD, brain fog, and the impact of all of these things on their performance in the workplace as well. And so most of the time when I'm speaking, I'm speaking to professional women, and we're talking about the impact that this has on their productivity in the workplace, which is huge. And we even have financial data to support that this is an area that we need to work on. But that's probably, brain fog is probably the biggest thing that comes up as an issue, and the conversation and questions.
So, so to that, I also I wonder about that juicy part because I know there's a lot of new science around brain fog and cognition, and I'm on the leadership council for UCI Mind. There are drugs and things that they're looking into. But I wonder about that juicy part. So, as we're drying out as we get older, it's like if this is drying out too, that can't help.
Estrogen and its decline affects our brain chemistry. And we know that estrogen has a huge role in our brain health. And although we don't prescribe it, to per se prevent Alzheimer's, we know that at the end of the day, your estrogen levels, your exposure to it ultimately will support your bone health, your heart health, and your brain health more so than not. There's still a lot of questions. There's nothing absolute. It doesn't mean that, you need to take estrogen in order to prevent these things per se, but it's just having that awareness that these things do play a role and that unfortunately we've been misguided, misinformed around the role of estrogen and how it actually can have such a positive impact on us. So I would just say to be more open minded to understanding and educating yourself to how it may benefit you. And it really can make your life juicier if it's, for you. It's not for everybody, but it can make all the difference.
So you wrote a book, The Menopause Myth. How did you put that together? So tell me a little bit about that book.
Well, that book was directly related to my personal experience. Like I said, I was in my late 30s. I was going through this. I had no idea what was going on. I was blowing my life up. I thought, a gynecologist would have information for me. I'm a gynecologist. I thought I knew something about this. I thought that, yeah, I thought a lot of things. I thought it would hit me much later. I didn't even occur to me that, in my late 30s, early 40s, that any of this would even be a thing. It was on my radar. And so I really just kind of made a list of all the things, all of the misconceptions that I had. And that was kind of my list of the myths, right? That you're number one, that your doctor knows anything about this. Number two, that it's going to start, in your late 50s and your 60s. No, it actually starts in your late 30s, maybe in your 40s. So all of the myths really had to do with all the stumbling blocks that I had that I realized that's not true. My mother didn't tell me anything. My doctor didn't tell me anything. And my friends were as confused as I was, more confused. And I'm the gynecologist in the group. So that's where it came from.
They're looking to you for advice. And you're going, I don't know. Yeah, it's amazing how challenging it is. Yeah, and medicine has not focused on women as much as it's focused on men. Does that frustrate you a lot or?
Yeah. I mean, I'm learning now just how the lack of funding dollars into our research and to how we've even looked at women's health. We've looked at women in a lot of ways like smaller versions of men, but our whole biology is just completely different. And so thankfully, there are some great pioneers out there. Like Dr. Pauline Mackey, who is probably one of the foremost researchers on menopause and brain health. I'm just really excited at what I'm seeing. I've been in the game now I wrote my book 6 years ago. This is becoming more of a topic over the last, I would say 3 years in particular. I've just watched it blossom. And so I hope we just continue. I hope it's not a trend. I hope women continue to speak up for themselves and advocate for it because that's the only way we're going to get any real progress is when we have to make noise
Yeah.
and to have these things for us, which is unfortunate, but it's the reality.
Yeah. So what was the hardest part about writing your book?
Just staying on track and doing it. I hired, see that goes to show you, I hired somebody, I paid someone to make me stay on track. Otherwise, I mean, I'm writing another book now. I haven't paid anyone, and that's why it's probably going to sit for a minute. I'm going to have to pay someone to keep me accountable because that's just the way I operate, unfortunately. But yeah, it was just when you don't feel like writing and you have to get it done and doing the editing, like I didn't want to do all that. I just wanted to write and then you can go fix it, which if, in my next book, I will do more of letting someone else do more editing. I have a different way that I would write it now that I am writing it, but I still need that accountability.
Yeah. I hate editing like that. So that Behind Me, Drama
Mhm.
Free Management is my book. And literally that's 10 years worth of work. I hope it doesn't take you that long for the next book. So hiring somebody I think is a good idea. What is this next book about?
The next book is called The Jewels for the Journey, and there are 10 jewels: gratitude, acceptance, patience, purity, prayer, silence, vision, service, love, and discipline. And they're really just the tools of helping women tap into their highest selves. And it's also part memoir, but it's really more how I've used these kind of spiritual tools in a way to get through my most challenging situations, and how the power of each one of these can transform our lives. And it is a kind of just a framework to work around when you're going through a challenging time, and starting with these jewels to incorporate them into your daily lives, and how they can really shift your awareness, your perspective, and so that you can make changes in your life.
Speaking of difficult times, you mentioned the sandwich generation. How is that impacting you right now?
Yeah, I have an 85-year-old, 86-year-old parents. My both of my parents have, had heart attacks. My mom just got diagnosed with Parkinson's. My dad has had multiple falls. And of course, I still have, a 20-year-old, 21-year-old, 22-year-old kids. So in that sandwich, just trying to do your best to, do right by your parents, but still live your life, but try to support your kids, just trying to find that balance. I need a therapist at this point for me. Feel like I'm managing it all pretty well, but I'm kind of one of those people that just, I push through. I do take that time for self care, but think I'm definitely ready to have another person just to kind of be able to talk these things through. I think it's important during this phase just to know what's normal, just to be able to have those conversations and unload and get perspectives that you may not see.
And there's no book on how to help your parents. The most I ran a business with 90 employees, and taking care of my mother at the age of 90, 91, 92 was the hard it was so hard. It was much more difficult than running a business with that many employees. And there just is no there are business books for running a business. There's no book that I read that I saw for taking care of parents. So it's
Yeah, I
hard.
think it's so individual, and it's very unique, and so much of it has to do even with your own relationship with, like, there's just so many layers to how this all this happens, your proximity to them, your relationship with them, what their health issues are, what their financial situation is like. There's just so many things that there's no one size fits all. I don't know how you prepare for it, but you don't want to be blindsided by that one, I can tell you.
No, actually, so they're in California, in this area, there's Orange County Council on Aging. And the woman that runs Orange County Council on Aging, Lisa Jenkins Wright, I networked with her. So she came and sat in my office for an hour and a half and told me about her experience, which wasn't necessarily going to be my experience with my mother because my mother had some dementia. But at least it gave me some ideas of some things to do, so and I was on the board of the Alzheimer's Association of Orange County, so that helped. A
Yeah.
little bit of this and a little bit of that, so
Information is power. I think the more it really is, the more you know, the more you can help yourself. And but it's like just taking the time to get that information, and where do you get this information? Like, what's a good resource? Like, being able to have, I would almost feel like a coach to get you through that too, because it's just so much that you can do, but it's like you're stumbling forward and you're figuring out as you go. And like, I feel like it would be great just to have someone to be like, okay, this is what you might be feeling. These are the resources that can help you, like something.
yeah,
Same thing I do for menopause. Like, I need someone to do that for me.
yeah. It's like, what are the resources? And yeah, it's funny when I work with my business owners, I tell them their job as a CEO is to find resources. It's the same thing. Your job as a daughter and a mother is to find resources, and it's just hard. Now, Speaking of resources, you're a member of WPO Women's Presidents Organization. How has that helped you in running your business?
It's been instrumental. The first several years just being in the company of other business owners, because, as I said, I didn't know what I was doing. And, I remember when our facilitator, Candy, came and interviewed me, I guess, for joining. But then she said, oh, what the criteria was. And my business wasn't generating that income at that point, but it actually was a motivator for me because I was like, I want to be able to be in that organization. So the next year I was just like, I'm going to be in this organization. So I made that part happen. And then just being in the company of the women, like they just supported me, loved on me. I learned so much. I realized that, oh, I'm not alone. Like all of these problems I'm having, oh, they're having the same problem, some of them worse than mine. So it just was a really great, that peer kind of environment was instrumental. And it's been a good connections. They've nominated me. Like most of the awards I've gotten have been because my WPO sisters nominated me. And
Nice.
it took me a while to just get past that kind of imposter syndrome. But now I feel like I fit right in. I've been in there, I don't know, it's at least 9 years now. It's been a minute. So now I'm like the old girl here. I'm like, okay, the newbies, I feel like I'm like, wow, look at me. But I was that person. And I've grown in that organization a lot.
Do you attend the conferences?
I do. I have not in the last 2 years. I used to go regularly and,
They're
yeah,
called forums, I guess.
forums, yes, executive forums now or excellence. I don't remember, but, I know, and I think they're great. I have been going to a lot of conferences and I had to start just being like, okay, which one do you have to go to? But now, I'm kind of in a different place and it makes more sense for me to go. When I went to them initially, some of it just didn't resonate with me on some levels just because I just didn't have that business mindset to even be able to take in the information. And honestly, a lot of times in the beginning, it was overwhelming for me. A lot of stuff people were talking like in business, it literally is like a different language to me. It was hard for me to even keep up. So, but I do feel like I've evolved, I've matured, and I'm in a better place to really benefit from that environment better. It was all good. And I've even spoken on a couple panels when I was there. I think the last time I attended in 2023, this is 4 or 5. Yeah, maybe 2023. I was on a panel talking about women's health and sexual health, and that was really positive. So I'd love to go back.
Okay, so that's going to be in Miami next May 2026. So I know you'll be an amazing speaker. I want to see you speaking there. You've got a unique chapter chair. I mean, I've been told all the chapter chairs are amazing, but Candy's one of my favorite. How did you actually ever meet Candy, or do you remember?
I just remember she showed up. She reached out to me some kind of way and I was like, hey, I guess I don't know how they got my name to be in WPO. And so she came and we had lunch, I think, at Whole Foods and just kind of hung out. And then we met again and she learned a little bit more about my business. And then once I told her, I guess she asked me obviously about my financials to see if I guess I could be a part of it. And let me know that I wasn't there, but she'd keep me in mind, and I was like, yep, you're gonna keep me in mind. So that's how it started. I don't really know how she found out about me, but that's how it started.
How did you find your business advisor? Would you recommend that person to other business owners?
1,000%. Yeah. He actually works with oh my gosh, not Catapult Advisors. Well, another WPO woman, she's in a bunch of different organizations, but she's also in WPO and I met her through WPO. And we were actually at a conference this year. We were at the Enterprising Women's Conference, I believe. And she was like, you need to meet, Roy. You need Roy. And she's like, no, right now. And so she gave me his number and I emailed him. He was very responsive. It's Cultivate Advisors, but Catapult is their conference. Anyway, I would absolutely recommend him. And yeah, I just can't speak highly enough of having someone like that because I've had coaches before. People are, but it's like, no, like this guy digs all the way down, all the way into even my personal finances, how that's impacting my work, like everything.
Good
And
for
yeah,
him, because that's how they should function. Roy, what is Roy's last name?
Roy Fleming at uh, Cultivate Advisors.
Okay. So I just want to get that out there because Roy has helped you, and Roy should get a little bit of a kudos in this podcast because there are a lot of people that say they can help you, but they actually don't know numbers or they don't know really good business practices. So those people that do, that's who you want to use. And I do think getting a business advisor from another person who's used them is a good way to get a good business advisor. So
Yeah,
good.
totally agree.
Okay. What have I not asked you? What question have I not asked you yet?
Oh, there's a whole bunch, I'm sure. Um, well, I will tell you that you didn't ask me about where my favorite places that I've traveled, which has been Barcelona, in Spain, and love that. And yeah, my favorite things to do in my spare time, I've really been spending a lot of time focusing on meditation. I went to a Joe Dispenza meditation retreat. So Joe Dispenza, if you're not familiar with his work, he's been really a very strong influence for me. But he delivers these conferences all over the world, 2,000 in attendance from 200 countries. And his meditation techniques have really helped me just get centered. There's just been life changing. So I guess the question would be what's been one of the most life changing things for you this year? It's been attending that retreat, reading his book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, and really tapping into the power of the mind and how it really is. There is a science on how we can manifest and create. And I'm just a living witness to how the power of the mind can work.
And I have heard this about meditation, and I have not ever successfully meditated yet. But tell me, how do you get into that space and how long are you meditating? And what's an example of something that's come to you that you've realized because you've taken the time to sit still and be in that space?
Well, I've attempted to meditate for years. This is something I've known that's been good, but like most people that say, "Oh, I can't meditate." You can meditate. It's just you're expecting when you meditate that you're not going to have thoughts, but that's the whole point. The point is to be present with the thoughts and notice, "Oh, I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about that," and then coming back to the moment, right? And you may never be in the moment without any thoughts, but that is what meditation is. It's really just the observance of your thoughts and being able to realize that you are not your thoughts and really tap into what or who is that awareness of the thought. But what I really can do more successfully with his meditations because they're guided. I never really would have thought that guided meditations would be good for me, but his meditations, because he really explains the science of how we really like from a quantum physics standpoint, how basically the science of our mind and how we really work as an electromagnetic force and how through certain breathing techniques and meditation, and he guides you through this, that you really can tap into a higher source, right? And I think that it was life changing to me because he really helped define God, source from a quantum physics standpoint. And so even though I had certain spiritual ideas and things that I grew up with, my analytical mind was resisting certain parts. And so I was able to merge those two and really understand really what source was and the power and the ability that we have to tap into that. And so he explains it again that there's a field and an energy and he walks you through it. And so if you had told me I would sit and meditate for an hour and a half a day, I'd be like, there's no way I don't have time. But now I'm just like, I have to make the time because I know how much it changes my life. And so I highly recommend his work. I highly recommend reading his book. And yeah, if you're really stuck in a place, like for me, it's been everything to get unstuck.
Joe, what's the last name?
Dispenza.
Dispenza.
Yeah.
Okay, Joe.
Dispenza.
Okay, thank you. A couple of more resources that I have from this conversation. So thank you. Yeah, how much of our brain do we actually use? And does that give us the power to use a little bit more of that up there, that gray matter? So yeah. So
Yeah.
hour and a half. That's amazing. That's
Yeah,
simply amazing.
you don't have to. I mean, it's he has hour and a half long meditations. He has 20-minute ones. He has walking meditations. Yesterday, I literally did 3 meditations. Like I did one in the morning, and then I did another one for like hour and 15 minutes in the morning. No, hour in the morning, and then I did another one that was like 20 minutes. And then sometimes in the middle of the day, I'll just stop, I'll do a meditation. And then he has one that I really love is like this abundance meditation. But it's a walking meditation. And so when I just need to move, I just, and get out of my head because our thoughts are what screws us up. Like we have to be able to understand like we are not our thoughts and our thoughts really do create our lives. And so he really focuses on helping you to get out of your head and really understand that you're the observer and then be able to tap into that power. And I'm even doing a program now for healthcare practitioners that are really interested in his technique so that I can explain it better because I know I don't explain it I don't explain it anywhere close as well as he does, but I really want to share this with other people because I just it is the only way to get out of your head, the meditation, and not his way, but we can't, I think that evolution, that peace that we're looking for, we have to get out of our heads. And you've got to figure out what that looks like for you.
Do you think that helps you with some emotional intelligence as well?
I'm sure it does because really it's around a lot of just mind over matter, like an understanding that, when I'm looking at certain perspectives, it's not even about me, but just understanding that we're all kind of, living in a little bit of a matrix here, and that we're understanding this dynamic of how people are functioning better just helps you, I think, at the end of the day, makes you more emotionally intelligent.
Well, I think we're out of time and I can't believe I could keep talking to you for another hour. I'm sure you're so interesting and thank you Dr. Ariana. You're amazing. So I need to buy your book and I need to listen to your podcast. And I've enjoyed talking to you tremendously. Dr. Arianna Sholes-Douglas, um, with the Stay Juicy podcast and the book, The Menopause Myth.
Menopause Myth. Yeah, you can get it on Amazon. It's on Audible. Follow me on Instagram at Dr. Ariana. On LinkedIn, I'm there. And yeah, I would love to connect and support any of your listeners who would like that. And yeah, I'm here. I'm here for it.
Well, and you're very close. So a drive to where you are from California is nothing to be able to get the great help it sounds like you provide people. So thank you so much. And
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
and I look forward to hearing you at the WPO conference
Yeah,
forum.
let's make it happen. Let's
Yeah,
make it happen.
I'm pushing for it. So thank you.
I appreciate you, Marla. Thanks for the invitation.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Per Her Perspective. I'm your host, Marla Noel. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow the podcast so you don't miss what's next. To go deeper, check out my book, Drama Free Management, a practical guide to moving teams from high drama and low performance to low drama and exciting results. To connect with me, visit my website, ocgrowthadvisors.com. Until next time, keep leading with purpose and perspective.